Welcome to Toast and Jams. My name is Alex Session, and on this episode we have Jay Carter, also known as Josie. Should I call you Josie or Jay or?
Call me whatever you like.
Okay.
You can go with Jay.
Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do?
Yeah, sure. I am Jay Carter, aka Josie.
Yeah.
I am a DJ, producer, and broadcaster from London. I've been DJing for 10-ish years, producing for 3, broadcasting for about about 5 years. And I just love it. I live for it.
Great. That sounds good. It's great to have you here. We always invite guests to bring a drink on of their choice. And what did you bring for us today? And why?
An ice cold Guinness.
A Guinness?
A Guinness. Yeah, I've actually only recently got into these. I had a few gigs in Ireland and can't believe what I've been missing out on.
Okay.
Everywhere we went, the promoter was like, hey, get a Guinness here. And they've become a new obsession.
Did it taste better in Ireland?
It does taste pretty good in Ireland.
Whoa. Okay, that's the widget going.
Whoa. Yeah, tell them about the widget.
About the widget.
Because I didn't know this and I wanted to know this.
I've got it everywhere.
The little ball that's inside it.
So it's a little ball with some nitrogen inside it. It releases when you open it.
What's the
which
carpet?
gives it that freshly kind of draft poured vibe, I guess.
Draft poured vibe.
Yeah. I don't know that much about it. I'm not really a big Guinness drinker. So this is actually quite rare
welcome.
for me. Yeah, cheers.
Welcome to the world of Guinness.
I'll see if I can get a good pour going on.
Got to get good angle on it.
Yeah.
I'm pleased you told me about the widget because the first time I drank one, I thought, do you remember when you used to have bags of crisps with toys in? I was like, is there a gift in my drink?
Or like the salty crisps with the sachet.
Yeah, you get
where you did it yourself.
I
think there's like a lot to be said marketing wise with like something that you do yourself as part of it, or something that involves you as a consumer. How's that? Didn't let it settle. It was good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Fair play. I was supposed to be an inch on the head.
I think so.
Yeah, something like that.
I believe so.
Cheers. Anyway.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Toast and jams.
Right, to Guinness, toast and jams.
Microphone that likes running away from me. Hang on. There we go.
Apparently, there's hardly any iron in Guinness.
I'm disappointed.
They sell that. They sell it on that.
Yeah.
They sell it to pregnant women on that, don't they?
My own mother used to drink loads of Guinness. Well, not loads. She's like, not loads, but apparently it's 3 a week was recommended. So she did.
To a pregnant mum.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe that's why I like it so much.
Yeah, probably. It's like crack babies.
Sorry, mum.
Yeah. So what other Guinness facts have I got for you? It's actually red. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
It's super dark red. You can't see it, but maybe if you hold up to the light,
there's some good lights in this studio.
It's a dark ruby red from the roasted malt barley, similar to coffee beans.
Oh,
so there's a little fact about Guinness.
Could be an espresso martini and a really big one, couldn't it? Just from the look
I've had one that big before, and I was having panic attacks in bed after it.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're having more than just panic attacks.
Yeah. So yeah, cheers. Guinness is lovely.
Cheers.
And we also ask our guests to pick a tune from their teenage years, which tend to be the kind of most formative, influential years in our like creative careers, right? So what track have you chosen from that time today?
I've chosen Breathe by Pink Floyd.
Nice. That's a good choice.
Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon kind of changed me.
Yeah.
Classic.
It's a really good, it's a really good adolescent album, seeing everything differently,
Yeah, it was just, I just listened to it on repeat for like a year or something crazy. And I never got bored of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's probably my favourite track from it. I used to be able to play it on guitar. Don't know if I can
What was
anymore.
that year? What year was that we talking about?
I was like 16. So, I don't know. Getting on a bit now. I'm 31 now.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Whatever that maths is. Quick maths.
I'm not going to even try. I just don't want to get it wrong.
I was never going to try.
Okay, so what
yeah.
what did the world kind of look like for you at that time in terms of what was happening in your life? And
At 16?
yeah,
I spent quite a lot of my teenage years well into pirates. I was
nice.
dressing like a pirate and just
Okay, I can see that.
yeah,
Weirdly,
yeah.
yeah,
Backcomb my hair and stuff. I
yeah,
don't know, at that age you're not really thinking about the bigger picture, are you? You're just going, I want to wear a waistcoat that looks like a pirate.
yeah. You're kind of
And
just
I
doing
wanna
whatever you want, really, at that
yeah.
time.
And yeah, I guess musically, like music has always been there for me. My dad was in a band, had a band. My parents met through his band. 'Cause
What kind of
mum-
music was he doing?
More like blues
Okay,
and a
right,
bit
cool.
of classic rock type stuff. So it's funny because now I'm like playing festivals around the country. He used to play pubs around the country. So he kind of sees he's like, yeah, you got to put your groundwork in,
Not parallels.
work your way up to your arenas.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so then, yeah, kind of music's been there a lot. I guess I first started listening to Pink Floyd around the dinner table
Yeah.
as we would have Sunday roasts.
So there's a connection to your dad with that album, would you say?
Yeah. That and it was that and like the Beatles, and Mum's more Queen,
Right. Okay.
you know.
Cool.
So David Bowie, all of
Nice.
that.
Yeah.
So just living life at 16, trying to work out who I was, what I wanted from life, I suppose.
How did that go, do you think?
I don't, if you tell me. No, I mean, it is actually quite funny looking back at those years now, because I always felt like I wanted to do something creative. I just didn't know what. I had no idea.
Mm.
I
But
don't think
you
anyone
just
really
knew you
knows.
had it in you to express, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
I knew, I had a job at the co-op, and I did not want to do that for the rest of my life.
Sometimes
Not for me.
just doing the things you know you don't want to do is enough to find out the things you do.
Start
right?
crossing out
Yeah.
the things you don't want to
co-op,
do.
no.
No, worked at the Olympics for a bit doing hospitality. Not that. That wasn't for me.
Right, okay.
I was in the fancy
What was that
bit.
like?
In
boxes,
shit.
in the kind of boxes and serving people that are entitled, I imagine.
Yeah, the real rich people who'd pay like $1,000 per head to come sit around a table, and you had to kind of, I'm in a group of 6 and we have to put all the plates down at the same time and pick them up at the same time.
Okay, proper, that kind of service.
I accidentally dropped a fork into someone's bag once and they didn't see.
Did you blame them for stealing? Thief!
Another one!
Yeah.
No, I don't know how that ended. She didn't notice and I didn't have the guts to say anything, so just slunk off. So
okay, so she got home with a dirty fork in her bag, and probably wondered where the hell that came from.
Paid $1,000 for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so look, around about that time, around 16, 17, 18, let's say, what were the kind of scenes that were popping off in terms of like the cultural movements that you were kind of getting into, that were catching your eye or catching your ear, so to speak?
Definitely dubstep.
Oh yeah, cool.
Like,
so noughties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so I went to uni at 18. I went straight from school. And I went to Sussex in Brighton.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the end of dubstep. Like, obviously it started like 2000s. And then I was at uni 2010.
Yeah.
So kind of caught the real good end of it.
Yeah.
And actually Brighton had a really good scene at that time. There was a club called Life, which was a tunnel. And dubstep sounded great in there.
Yeah,
just going there, just like, no earplugs,
just
obviously.
booming and echoing and really bad acoustics, but good at suiting the music, basically. Yeah.
So then, I guess it was when I went to uni that I kind of started honing my electronic tastes.
Did you start making stuff during that time?
No, I wish I did.
Yeah.
I wish I did. I actually, not to dub her in, but when I finished uni, I said to Mum I'd quite like to do a course in music production, because I was like, I just really feel like doing that. And she was like, just get a job already. You've done enough education. So I did that instead.
Okay.
But it was like pulling me, and it all worked out fine in the end. So, but yeah.
So going back to scenes and stuff, would you say, so dubstep was the first thing that you got really heavily into in terms of going out and like that that it was classified a scene.
Yeah, I'd say so. Like
Yeah.
those were the parties I'd go to. Those and Heatwave, which were
Yeah.
the like bashment parties where
Yeah.
I learned how to grind.
Gabriel and Ben and those
Yes.
guys. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
went to all of them at Concord too.
Oh, sick.
So
Yeah.
good.
Really good parties.
Yeah.
Really, really good parties.
But yeah, I've always just loved bass music. Anything that's got a massive bass on it.
Yeah.
And
He's
then-
playing any dubstep these days in your sets?
Yeah.
Out of interest.
More and more actually.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it is having a slight resurgence.
Definitely.
/ massive
notable.
one.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But as with anything now,
it's about
everything's so
time.
quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's even like fashion. Like, do you remember the 70s came back for about 2 months and then it moved on to the 80s and then it's just
The cycles are speeding up.
so much quicker now, maybe because of the internet.
I remember the 70s being in fashion in the 90s.
Mm.
But then that was that kind of, there was a trend of like, on and off. So yeah, 70s and the 90s, 80s and the noughties. But that's definitely shifting to, feels like the cycles are quicker. I don't know whether the internet's played a role in that, probably. What do you think? Yeah.
12 seconds of TikTok videos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I do think it's coming back, dubstep. And I just love it. Bass.
Yeah. What's not to like?
Mm.
I mean, if you really want to break down like the simplicity of stuff, like bassline tunes have to be simple to work. And that's there lies the beauty, right? The simplicity of them.
As with anything, mostly. Like a good pasta dish. It's funny how
exactly.
music and food is always kind of
100%
parallel.
Have you ever worked in kitchens or anything like that?
No, I'm actually an awful cook. So
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have brought up food. But yeah.
Or do other people bring up your food often after eating it?
I don't think they even eat it. I made a lasagna the other day. It was inedible.
Oh, no.
It was so... I don't know how. It was just so crunchy. It was like, if you imagine eating pistachios with the shells on, it was like that.
That sounds like a pretty bad lasagna.
I did try though. I'm trying to get better.
Yeah. So going back to the Pink Floyd tune Breathe, what was it about? What do you think, if you're able to, describe, what was it about that tune that kind of captured your heart and mind?
I'm a sucker for a key change.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know, atmospheric. Like the stuff I'm making at the moment, I keep having to tell myself to make it a bit more heavy because I'm kind of making a lot of pretty flowy things. Obviously then whack a massive bass on it and it's probably fine.
Yeah.
But in fact, that's another influence is people like Bonobo, Max Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that whole kind of wave of people that it was dance music, but it was also very listenable.
Yeah, it's melodic dance music,
melodic. Yeah.
but with the right frequencies, the right mix, so you can listen to it at home or on a system, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. Well, do you think that's where you are at the moment?
Elements of that.
Yeah, that's cool. It's a good place to be.
Dub.
Yeah.
But then, a lot of that, well, I suppose all music is, but it's dubstep and stuff, someone like Max Cooper, they're like, just dubstep as a whole, do you know what I mean? But it's proper sound design.
Yeah, really
so
is.
That's what's taking so long to learn.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, when I first went in the studio with the intent to learn to make music, I didn't even know that a waveform was exactly the same as what the speaker does. I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah. The movement it creates. Yeah.
It's like, the speaker literally does that with the waveform. I was like, okay. I remember I had a lesson with Joe from Cassian and we sat down and I was like, what do all the colours mean? And he was like, right, we're starting from the very beginning.
What do the colours mean?
Nothing. You can just colour code shit.
Yeah, right. Okay. I wondered what in relation to what you meant.
In Ableton, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So you're an Ableton user mostly. Cool.
Yeah, I did try Logic, but I personally didn't find it very logical.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
I think it's one of those things that whatever you're exposed to first is just the direction you head in, Like with me, Ableton, I'm just like, no idea. But Logic.
You're a Logic man.
Yeah.
It does sound better, apparently.
Oh, right. You just quality, you mean? Okay. Didn't know that. Yeah. I mean, I know that Ableton's pretty good for kind of sketching ideas out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's good for that.
And obviously, if you want to play a live show, you kind of need
Yes.
to be on Ableton.
Yeah, you do, don't you? Yeah.
Maybe one day. Haven't thought that far ahead.
So when you're feeling kind of creatively like depleted or drained, or like, you know, like the sponge is squeezed dry, do you, if any, do you have any go-to routines to kind of bring inspiration and get you back on the path for creating?
That's a good question.
Because it happens to everyone
Yeah.
frequently, right? You know.
Yeah. I mean, the main thing for me is just to have enough sleep, I think.
That's a great one. And it's completely underrated in the dance music world.
Yeah, people are like, what is sleep?
That's
What?
really good. Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Because yeah. So like so when do you know? When do you know you haven't had enough sleep, or when do you know you need to do that?
I'm very emotional as a person.
Right.
I try not to be, but you know, I'd cry if I got the wrong sandwich at school. That kind of
Okay.
Just because I was, oh God, this is overwhelming.
Yeah.
Kind of curb that a little bit now, but if I haven't had enough sleep, then everything is just much more the loop in your head where you're like, oh, I'm no good at this, blah, blah, blah. It just kind of grows and grows and spirals.
Do you also think alcohol plays a part in that anxiety, I guess?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, I love a bev, but you can't deny that it definitely slows you down the following week. Definitely the next day.
Yeah.
But then also, I don't know, I suppose, good amount of sleep. Also, I just find working with other people really good. Like if I'm feeling really stuck, I'll book in a session with Joe and we'll just work on the track together.
Yeah.
Or he'll show me what he's working on and, you know, I'll just pick up loads of tips and then I'll be able to go back to my tracks and be like, oh, now I can add this, I don't know, automation, auto filter or whatever. Like it's just stuff that you pick up and learn, because I know loads of people learn from YouTube, but my concentration span is just not. I'm just there. I'm watching on YouTube and I'm like, oh, there's that thing I should have done. Or it just. Whereas if I'm in the studio with someone and we're just looking at Ableton or just working on stuff,
Yeah.
I find I can get into the flow way easier.
Do you ever get a chance to go to other people's gigs as a working DJ? It's hard to have a night off and get out to something. But
I always go if I can.
Yeah.
I just love it anyway. Like so, Project 6 this weekend. I'm just going to go.
Yeah, sick. Yeah. Who are you looking forward to seeing there?
The lineup's great actually. I'm going to go early and catch H.
From
Harriet.
Steps, obviously. H from Steps, obviously.
Yeah. Apparently he's DJing. Who's that? There's some newsreaders DJing at Glastonbury.
I saw a headline.
Yeah.
I can't remember who or why, but yes, I saw that.
It's exactly the same. Just read the headline and went, cool. But yeah, there's loads like Blue Mitsu, Nefertiti, loads of people playing who are just
cool.
Smashing it at the moment.
You're going to go on Saturday, did you say?
Friday.
Okay, cool.
And then all the heavyweight nights. I feel like Anton, what he's doing with those, he's bringing back dubstep. The old dubstep.
What are the heavyweight nights?
So they used to be in Brixton. No, they used to be at Fire, which is further out than Brixton.
Vauxhall, right?
Vauxhall, yeah.
Yeah.
But then he's recently been doing them. The last one he did was at Fabric, which looked great. I was in Berlin, otherwise I'd have gone. And then he was doing them in Brixton, at Brixton Electric, and working with Sinai sound system to bring in a massive sound system. And then he had like Marla and people. But then he's also bringing in the new wave of dubstep, like Emma, who's based in Dublin. And
I don't know Emma.
She is brilliant.
Yeah.
She looks exactly like me. There's three of us. It's me, Emma, and Yush.
Yeah.
From behind, we are unidentifiable.
All right, okay.
We've actually been booked to do a back-to-back 3-back at Waterworks Festival.
You need that photo.
We need that photo.
Backs of the heads, with headphones on. Cool. So getting some sleep and seeing friends and getting inspired by kind of peers and stuff.
Yeah, and going to gigs.
Going to gigs. Yeah, cool. That makes a lot of sense.
Is it the same for you?
Yeah, I think basically the same. Yeah, rest and just soaking up other people's stuff as much as possible.
Mm.
And doesn't even have to be related, even visual art, just going to a gallery or something, but
Never thought about that.
just spending time outside of yourself, outside of your life or creative life and outside of yourself, just in any way. I think if you're a creative person, you can draw from that, and just hanging
Yeah.
out with mates, like can make you feel, "Oh, I can get back in the studio now. Just change. Just
Yeah.
anything
Yeah. Anything.
that isn't
Do you know what? Oh,
staring
big
at a
one.
screen.
Nature. Just go into
Yes.
nature.
I mean, that just makes you feel, whatever makes you feel better, full stop in life,
Yeah.
right? And
True.
nature and sleep will always make you feel better, for sure.
The most human version of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because, I think creativity is, I don't want to sound too spiritual or wishy-washy, but you're channeling what you've experienced in life and like, from here in your head, in your
Mm.
experience to a place, so like on a paper or recording. And anything that can free up, like clear enough of space for that channel to be flowing is good.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
And I cannot remember who it was, but I read an interview with an artist, quite a big artist once, and they were saying that it was almost embarrassing when people asked them how they made what they made. I think they were a painter, and they'd be like, "I don't know. It just happens." When I get into that state, when my kind of the optimum
Yeah.
flow, and the ideas just come, and then the thing is created.
Yeah. I think like that can happen sometimes. I mean, I'm speaking from personal experience. Sometimes you can sit back, and you probably can relate to this. You sit back and you've been in the studio for half a day and you're pressing play and you're listening back to this tune and you're into it and you're like, didn't feel like I made that. It was too easy,
Mm,
almost in a way. Like, so I can relate to that in terms of feeling like you didn't do it. It
yeah.
just happened.
Yeah, like every 1 out of 1,000 tracks.
Yeah.
All the rest is so arduous, like, "Oh god."
Yeah, 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 exactly. It happens, doesn't happen as much as we'd like it to happen, basically.
Yeah,
um,
get some tips from Rick.
yes, yeah, he'd be a cool guy to talk to, for sure.
He's one of my dinner party people.
Rick Rubin, we're talking about when we say Rick.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, he'd be great. He'd be really good. He's a shoes off person.
Is he? Have
Yeah.
you had him in?
No, but I know from footage of him in the studio, he's always
Oh,
barefooted,
wow.
footed,
Barefeeted?
barefeeted. No, he's pretty cool. He's really cool. You run a record label. Do you run multiple record labels?
Just the one, thank
Faux
goodness.
Poly is your
And
one.
Faux Poly's what I released on.
Oh, okay.
That's actually Joe from Cassian's label. Joe and Warren run it together.
Oh, right. Cool. Okay.
But it's quite new,
Remind me of your label then.
Urbium Records.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Okay.
Which I started with 2 guys in lockdown, and we're on our 16th release now.
16th. Great.
Yeah,
So in
yeah,
3 years,
yeah,
basically. Yeah. Cool.
yeah. It feels good. It feels like it's maybe I've kind of hit that point where people are starting to notice a bit more.
Yeah.
Like Marianne picked up on the last release and
That's great.
supported it, and
It's not
yeah.
easy to get her attention, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Marianne Hobbs, you mean?
yeah.
But I was going to ask, what is it about the process of releasing music that you enjoy the most, that kind of keeps you doing it, I guess? Because labels
Releasing other
pop up.
people's music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you hear a tune that just gets you, you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's so nice to be able to then take it to the next step, give it a platform, get it in the hands of the right people. Because it's kind of what DJing is for me, really. You're like, I'm gassed at this tune, listen to it. And when other people get gassed at it, you're extra gassed, and then everyone's just gassed together.
Yeah.
And it's a great kind of feeling.
I guess it's kind of like DJing is you're in a room and you're pleasing those 300 or whatever people, and it's like instant kind of sharing. Whereas record label is like, it's a different level of sharing. It's a bit more of an elevated sharing, isn't it? Because you're kind of got a wider audience. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you don't know who's listening to it really,
No,
but
yeah.
it's nice when people buy it on Bandcamp or you hear the best is when you hear it being played out. I was in Berghain and listening to D Bridge, and he played a track from the
Sick.
label, which I
Cool.
didn't even know he knew. I didn't even know he had.
What track was that?
It's by Kane. It was about 3 releases ago. He's a guy based in Scotland. He actually used to be the #1 bagpipe player in the UK.
That's a sick, like, you know,
Mad, isn't it?
tag to have. Yeah,
kind
that's
of
pretty
hear
cool,
that in
man.
his tunes. Obviously,
Can you? He doesn't play. Does he play bagpipes in tunes?
no bagpipes, but
Because
the,
you could.
the
I think
notes he chooses.
Dubstep could get away with some kind of drony
Dubstep.
bagpipe vibe, like
Get on it.
I don't know,
Get
like
on it.
pitch it down a little bit. Well, what's your process for like finding music? Obviously, you get lots of submissions, I imagine. But do you
Yeah.
also do you find music yourselves to put out?
Yeah.
How's it been
Well,
going so far in that respect? Like, what the sources have been?
label-wise,
Yeah,
it's mostly it's a bit of digging, but it's mostly people sending us stuff. Especially more recently now, the label's kind of picked up a bit more
yeah,
traction. When we first started, we all just had our favorite artists, and we were like, let's hit them all up, see who comes through. And Chris, who co-runs it, he's based in Birmingham, and he works running events and stuff. So he's always meeting new DJs and
cool.
promoters, and everyone's making music, it seems. So they're
Mm.
like, "Oh, I'll send you some tracks." He's really good at listening to everything.
That's
So
what the hardest part.
yeah,
Is listening to everything.
he's good
Yeah.
at that, and then he'll kind of filter it out, then send it to me and Ollie. Ollie does all the visuals, and then we'll have like a listening session call. Not often enough, but we do it whenever we can.
Yeah.
And just like an hour, 2 hours, just listen to everything, decide what we want to put out, what we want to give feedback on or whatever. So
Cool.
yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, doesn't yet make any money, but it's good fun.
Yeah. I guess, as long as you're passionate about it, hopefully one day it will. I don't know. It's a tough one,
I
isn't it?
mean, I think a lot of music things are labors of love.
Majority, yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see where it goes. I'm not putting pressure on it.
Mm.
It's the whole thing with having a day job or a part-time job to just fund the dream.
Yeah. No, exactly. Let's talk about radio for a bit, because I know that you are into the medium form of radio.
Partial
to it, yeah. How important is radio as a medium to you? And do you think it still holds its cultural significance as it did when you were younger?
Ooh, big Q.
Big question, yeah.
Radio is very important to me. Even on the way here, I just had Rinse on.
Mhm.
Jotty's show was on. He's obviously brilliant. And there's something about listening to radio live that you just can't. It is just better.
Yeah.
And you know that person's in the studio right there and you're listening. I don't know if it's a kind of like a company thing. I feel like, I don't know what it is. But yeah, I do think radio's definitely changed a lot from even when I was growing up.
Mhm.
Because like Annie Mac, just her Friday nights were so important to so many people.
Yeah.
And integral to kind of building the scene. And I don't think, absolutely no shade on Friday nights now at all. But I just don't think people are listening in the same way they used to, because there's so many more outlets. There's, NTS, Rinse. We worked it out the other day. We were trying to count how many radio stations there were in London alone. There's
legal ones as well, especially with the internet, yeah.
Yeah, there's like way over 20.
Yeah, big
and
ones.
They're all putting out really good stuff.
Mm.
So, and also with SoundCloud, and you can listen back to so much.
And iPlayer or Sounds, BBC Sounds, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, so I just
all
think
that
people
stuff.
consume it differently now.
Yeah, it's true. But I do agree with you on the live, that you can't beat the live element to it, especially if you're kind of doing stuff on your own. You put it on, it is like having someone there. And then also the power of being able to play something back too, like if Benji B's show's on too late for me, I'm not going to listen to it live.
Yeah.
But there's music on there I want to hear, so, you get the chance to play that back, which you just never would have back in the day, you just missed it. That was it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
it's pretty wide, the scope of how you can immerse yourself in it. It's cool. Um, what's your kind of have you got any kind of radio highlights and like guests or shows?
Uh, I'm really loving my Rinse show at the moment.
Yeah.
I think
That goes out on the
once
Monday.
every Monday,
What time?
6 till 7
6
p.m.
till 7 p.m. Cool.
But it's quite a lot, but it's just the right amount for me. Maybe if it was 2 hours, it would be too much.
That's once a week?
Every
How do you
week.
find prepping for a show once a week? It's 2 hours.
2 hours for some reason. You get to an hour and a half, and then you're just kind of scraping the barrel for what to finish with. With an hour, unlike a DJ set, where you want more than an hour.
Yeah,
But
100%.
with radio, I feel like because you kind of, I don't know, I always have real kind of dancey, slightly more upbeat stuff, and then take it somewhere weird, and then throw in some dubstep or maybe jungle at the end, whatever. It feels like a nice, because you're talking over it as well. You can kind of lead the path or describe the path that you're going on.
Do you do much talking?
A little bit, not loads.
How do you feel about that? You know?
Oh, I'd probably tell I love chatting. Love chatting. But my first radio show was on Soho Radio years ago. Like years ago. And it was at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday.
Wow.
So
midweek, late night.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure not even my mum would listen to that one.
Yeah.
She doesn't like the music I play anyway. But it's like lift music.
But that was a good way to kind of cut your teeth, so to speak.
Yeah, well, I listened back to the shows and I'm like, whoa, I'm doing way too much talking, or I'm not talking enough, or this was really boring, this point that I came up with. Or, you just kind of work out.
Do you at that time, or do you now even still listen back to a lot of shows just to kind of check in on yourself?
I try to.
Yeah.
I try to. I didn't for a long time. And then during lockdown, I actually managed to connect with Marianne Hobbs. And she started mentoring me for a little bit.
Wow, that's amazing.
In radio. Yeah, she's like my hero.
Yeah, how did that go?
She's just incredible. And she was like, you should listen back to everything you do.
Cool, okay.
So I started listening back.
Good advice.
And you kind of get used to, because it is cringy. It is cringy.
It is, yeah.
Listening back to yourself.
Yeah.
Like even watching this back and be like, oh. But you get used to it. And then you can analyze it and assess it and be like, whoa, I should have stopped talking at that point. Or, there's a quiet bit in the tune. I should have said something interesting there. So, yeah. Just fun, innit?
Always learning, basically.
Yeah, always learning.
That's cool. How does it feel to be championed by Annie Nightingale, and what does it mean to have her backing?
Mad, to be honest.
Proper ledge, another ledge, yeah.
Because it just came out of nowhere. And it's just nice to know that people are.
So how did that come about?
I don't know if this is an interesting story or not. They messaged me on Bandcamp. Her producer messaged me on Bandcamp.
Cool.
Because I don't know, she couldn't get through to my agent or something. So I was like,
well, thank
what?
God for Bandcamp.
Thank God for Bandcamp, yeah. And they messaged Faux Polly, so not even my label. And then Joe was like, I think you've got a message from the BBC. I was like, what? Anyway, yeah, I don't know how it came about, but her producer said she'd selected me as one of the 3 females she wanted to champion for this year.
Really cool.
And obviously she passed in January, so we're now the last 3 that she championed, which is kind of mad.
Big responsibility, actually. It's kind of weighted off the back of that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't go actually, but there was a big radio awards thing the other night and they did a big tribute to her and stuff.
Cool, yeah.
Which looked really cool. Because she really, she was such a pioneer, it's actually mad.
Yeah, she really was.
She was the first female, but then she was also the only female for 40 years or something crazy.
And not just that, it was music choice was.
Yeah.
She just pulled everything in, she liked stuff that no one else liked, and then would kind of give it some time and shine, and then people liked it.
Yeah.
It was the proper role of a really good radio DJ.
Back in the time when it was so important that radio.
Yeah, it was the only.
Yeah.
Source, wasn't it?
Yeah.
She's the John Peel. The John Peels of the time, that kind of thing.
Yeah, crazy when you think it wasn't even that long ago.
Yeah. So, what did you get to do with her, or
so
what did it involve?
I went in to Radio 1, which was amazing,
Yeah.
and just kind of met the producer and went into the studio and recorded the show. And well, I had to record a mix first, which is probably one of the hardest mixes I've had to record because you have to leave space to talk every like 12 minutes or something because it's all very to the time.
Yeah.
Whereas, with my rinse shows, I just talk whenever.
So you had to curate tunes that would have breakdowns or something like that at the right times?
Yeah, and the beginning and the end couldn't have any vocals.
Right, okay.
And I mean, I don't really play many vocals anyway, but
yeah.
Yeah, the brief was hard, but a great challenge. And then, so I recorded the mix and then went in and recorded all the voiceovers with a producer she'd written out prompts, but she was like, obviously fill out with whatever you want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And managed to squeeze in a little section of Indian artists and like people I'd met in Canada and their
I heard
tunes.
that. That was off the back of your trip to India.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I went all Beatles on everyone. So that was great. And then I also got to chat to Annie herself.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not in person because I think she's 84 or 82.
Yeah.
But she came on whatever kind of system as their version of Zoom.
Mm.
And she interviewed me and she was so switched on. It was crazy.
Yeah.
She just jumped into this presenter personality, which is obviously still her, but it's just like professional.
She's a pro.
Yeah.
Proper pro.
And it was just kind of mad to be talking to her, really. And then they recorded quite a long interview, just chopped out a few bits to play in the show.
Mm.
But we covered quite a lot of ground talking about, like, obviously for her, being a woman in the industry is quite a big thing to talk about because that's pretty much dominated her entire career.
Yeah.
So she was interested to know what it's like now as a woman. And it's definitely
What did you say?
improved.
How would you say, what would be your answer to that now, your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, obviously I wasn't alive when she started out, but, even talking to my own mum.
But your own experience,
But yeah, my own experience it's been quite supportive, if I'm honest. I'm an optimist. I look on the positive side of things, but it has been
Good way to be.
pretty supportive. Like one of my first international gig came through Smirnoff Equalizing Music when they were doing that, like, I don't know, 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And they literally the brand just put money into finding some female non-binary artists and matching them with a mentor. And then we went to play at Snowbombing Festival.
Sick.
So without, like, I would never have played at Snowbombing without that. So that was a really good thing. I don't think they do music stuff anymore.
Smirnoff. Not that I'm aware. Maybe we should hit them up.
I wonder if Guinness will sponsor.
We were talking about that just before. Yeah.
Really?
Like, what are they up to these days?
Yeah. It would be a great sponsor.
Have you played snowbombing once or multiple times since?
Since I actually became a resident off the back of that.
Do you snowboard or ski? Or...
No.
Have you tried?
I did try.
You should try, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a natural, I don't think.
Yeah, you got to give it some time.
Yeah. It was fun. It just starts to get fun and then you go home.
Yep. That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
But that's fine. It's not something I can afford outside of doing it as part of a gig, so I'm not too fussed.
Yeah, fair enough. Off the back of that, talk about kind of hurdles in your career so far, and what do you think has been the greatest hurdle to navigate in the music industry, and what did you learn from it?
I'm going to go all holistic on you, but honestly, the biggest hurdles are in my own head, I think.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of the time.
Cool.
But they're pretty big.
Yeah.
Just self-doubt and...
How do you handle self-doubt?
I speak to people, kind of try and reach out to people. Like, I definitely, whatever, I just find it better to kind of bounce things off people and see what they think. It's always useful to just get an outside opinion, even if it's someone who has no interest in music or no ties, just to be like, here's my current thinking. What do you think?
Mhm.
It's just so useful a lot of the time. It's just
How does self-doubt kind of present itself to you in your career, you know? Is it like being nervous before gigs, or
I always get nervous before gigs, but I think that's a good
you
thing.
should?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. And also, there's I've recently turned nervous energy into excited energy
That's
in
a
my
skill.
head.
That's a really good skill.
Same thing. It's
I
the
kind
same
of
feeling.
I'm still not able to do that all the time, but sometimes.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's a good skill.
yeah. It literally feels the same in your stomach.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just like, "Meh, just change it."
yeah.
As you say, easier said than done.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I guess then making music, because you're already so vulnerable by creating some art, and then you share it with people, and
Mm.
every everything that comes back, I'm like, any, like, even if it's just a little suggestion, I'm like, okay, don't take it to heart, don't take it to heart.
Yeah.
But obviously, also take it to heart and work on it and improve. And
Yeah.
but yeah, I think a lot, like, I'll wake up some mornings be like, oh my god, I've peaked. That's it. I'm probably done in music now. In my head,
Mm.
I deep down know that's not true. There's so much more I can give, but it's still there,
Yeah.
when you're like,
Yeah, yeah.
and we touched on it, I think, before we started recording, but the scene is difficult at the moment. Like, no one's got any money.
Mm.
The student promoters aren't promoting,
Mm.
and gigs aren't there so much. Like, I
Yeah.
even had a gig next week that's just been moved to August because they're like, we haven't sold any tickets. And
Right.
it just feels like a slog at the moment. And you
Yeah.
just think, oh God, is it me?
Yes.
Always. I always straight away just think, is it me?
It can be easy to get into that kind of, it's easy to get into that headspace. But then, like you say, talking to people, that's what will help
Yeah.
that. It's like other people saying, I'm experiencing the same thing. Or,
Mm.
um,
And I think everyone is,
mm,
you know.
definitely. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just about then kind of managing those thoughts in your head and just being like, chill out, bro.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's like, they say that, those people say that we have multiple voices. And it's about the conversation that we allow ourselves to have internally of like, it's okay to think that and have that, you know, scared voice or negative voice or doubting voice, but then just be able to respond to that voice with another one, in a more caring, positive voice and say, it's all right, don't worry about it. Like people are going through it too, that kind of thing.
Mm,
Yeah.
totally. So yeah, I mean, there are hurdles, obviously. There's things that, like, you get a gig you're excited about, it gets cancelled or whatever. Like,
Mm.
those things are hurdles too, but it's probably is mainly the brain stuff that gets me the most.
Yeah. No, fair enough. That's
But
a good, honest answer as
yeah,
well,
yeah, but
I
and
think.
yeah. Then also you have to remember, I'll be doing this be doing this regardless because I just love it.
Yeah.
I've like found my thing that I love. I'm doing it, so
Yeah.
whatever, really.
It's always the people that are the ones that are doing it that love it. You
Mm,
quite rarely, people will pop up, but they kind of, the truth will out when it comes to music. I think a lot of the time, if you're not in it for the right reasons, or your heart's not in it, or
mm,
it's quite apparent to a lot of people who are, because the majority are into it and the majority are doing it for the right reasons, and so you kind of, it's like a radar. You kind
mm.
of stand out like a sore thumb if you're not. You won't last very long. The longevity won't be
Yeah.
there.
And
I
you
think.
probably don't want to last very long as
No,
well.
exactly.
You're like, I'm
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
I'll make some cash and I'll get out.
yeah.
Whereas I know I'll be doing, I mean, I don't know if I'll be playing gigs when I'm 50. I'd quite like to. I'd like do a bit of a
Why not? Yeah.
oh my gosh, what's his name? Plays with artwork all the time. The Ibiza guy. Harvey, DJ Harvey.
Oh, yeah.
He's nailed it because I don't know how old he is, but he does like 2 gigs a year.
And he's playing disco, which is just a very enjoyable, like really,
Yeah,
really
such a happy
rare
guy.
disco. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And getting paid a lot of money for it too.
yeah.
Yeah, he smashed it. He
So
smashed it. I wonder when Annie's Nightingale's last gig was, how old she was when she played her last gig.
yeah, I know she was doing her radio show up until basically a week before she
Right.
passed,
Wow. Yeah.
which is kind of nuts.
Mm.
But she always said that I remember that headline when she'd been asked about her pension or something, retirement, and she was like, I'm not going to retire. I love my job.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Why not?
kind of
I mean,
similar.
DJing is not, as long as maybe you get a stool, it's not too strenuous, physically.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I've got 20 quid in Scottish widows, so,
cool.
we'll see if I
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah. I I think the oldest guy I ever did a set with was DJ Derek.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How old was he then?
I think he was in his 70s. I
Nice.
think. I'm guessing. It was in the noughties. It was me, Shy FX, and DJ Derek. It was a really weird lineup. It was just 3 of us. Private party. Actually, really jokes. But
Yeah, yeah, sounds great.
it was really weird. Yeah, he had his little lists, handwritten lists and mini discs, that vibe. And 2 mini
Love
discs.
that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, venues are closing rapidly at
Mm,
the moment. Like, I think it's like 3 a week or 3 a month or
it's
something really
crazy.
sad. But what's your favorite venue, open or closed, to play in the
Open or
UK?
closed?
Yeah, unfortunately.
There are so many good ones in the UK. This is why it's really sad that a lot are closing. But I have to say that my favourite venue has to be the Cause.
Yes, great shout.
Obviously, it's not the same Cause as it was previously when it was in Tottenham.
Yep.
Some of my favourite gigs, and probably quite like career-changing gigs, were at the Cause because they took a chance on me, and that was where I had my first gig with Sports Banger.
Yeah. Okay,
And
cool.
yeah, there were a lot of very monumental and memorable things that happened there. But the new one in Canning Town is equally as good, especially now they've got like a load of speakers and they've kind of reenacted Block 9 in a way from Glastonbury
Wow.
with the
Okay.
outdoor bit where they've got all the containers kind of
Yeah.
and
It's like in a V shape. It's like a courtyard in a
yeah,
V shape, and then
and the sound's really good.
big up Stuart and all
Yeah,
the
big up
team.
Stu.
Yeah.
Big up Stu.
Really cool. They've worked really hard to make that what it is and to keep it alive too, which is
Yeah.
no mean feat.
Especially, all of talking of hurdles, the hurdles they've had to jump over
Yeah.
are nuts.
Yeah, for sure.
Like being even to the point where they were closed down. And I don't know how true. It wasn't Stu who told me this, so I don't know how true it is. But someone said that it might have been his partner. He would just be cycling around, knocking on warehouses, and being like, "Hey, what do you use this for? Can I put a club here?"
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Yeah.
Because that's how, that's their kind of roots with parties. Him and Dom Chung
Yeah.
used to do that's what they used to do. Just knock on doors of warehouses and be like, can we put a party on here? And so I think he's pretty well versed in that, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. That's a good venue to pick. I wholeheartedly agree with that one.
Yeah.
Little Birdie told me that you are a fan of dad jokes.
That little birdie was correct.
And I can't remember where I heard that or how I found that one out. But do you have a favorite one? It's really hard to answer this question, but is there one that springs to mind that's your favorite all-time dad joke?
Velcro, what rip-off?
Okay.
Gotta laugh, yes. That's a speed one. I do like a one-liner,
That's a
actually.
quick one, yeah.
I used to walk around with Tim Vine's joke book in my bag at all times.
Who's Tim Vine?
He's just a one-liner comedian.
Is he old school?
He was big like 5-10 years ago.
Oh, okay, not
He
old
did
school.
arenas and stuff,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know Tim Vine.
But yeah, and just have it next to my bed. Just read a couple before bed at night. But that's where I got that Velcro joke from.
Okay.
But then what's a good one? Another good one. I've started selling trampolines that look like prayer mats.
Okay.
Profits are going through the roof.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that
It's
one.
current fave.
I'm saying this. A friend of mine wanted me to say this one. A friend of mine that's a big fan of dad jokes too. So,
Oh yeah.
I like saying mucho to my Spanish-speaking friends.
Yeah.
It means a lot to them. It's a good one.
See, I just love them. They're so stupid.
They are. You got to laugh at how bad they are.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
In terms of DJ career, what's been the most kind of mind-blowing DJ moment that you've had? Is there a real standout? Like, is it like playing alongside someone, a crowd, an experience, a gig experience? Within, like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's India kind of up there maybe in that respect.
India was definitely up there. Definitely. Because also it turned things on its head for me. Because here...
How did the India trip come about?
Oh, that's a whole thing. So,
Okay.
the short version is my kind of musical soul sister and really close friend Anisha, I met her in London. She came as a guest on my radio show. A mutual friend was like, hey, you two should meet, you'll get on. She's born
Great.
and raised in Mumbai. And she came to uni here and kind of came here every summer to work in music and at festivals and stuff. And we just completely hit it off.
Mm.
And her job that she's created for herself in India is touring artists.
Wow.
So we ran a radio show, we still do a radio show together for 5 years, where she brings an Indian artist to the UK and then I kind of champion a UK artist. Like the show just kind of mirrors like a mix from one and a mix from the other.
That's cool. That's a
And
great collaboration to
yeah,
have going. Yeah.
yeah. In fact, that's the show that caught Mary Ann's ear because she was
Right.
like, I've never seen this done before.
Okay.
And she invited us both onto Six Music recently to do a mix off the back of it, which is cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It was
Really
interesting doing a B2B when she's in Mumbai, but
Yeah.
we made it work. And yeah, she was like, well, I'll organise a tour for you here if you want to do it. I was like, do I want to do it? Yes. So she put together 15 dates.
Wow.
Which I did January and February 2023.
That's a lot of dates.
It was great because India's so big and
Yeah.
everywhere's so different, right down to the food, the language, wherever you are. Like I went to places to play that even she hadn't been to.
Was she with you on the tour?
For a lot of it, yeah. But she does so many things. She manages artists as well, so she had quite a lot of things she had to do, as well as running my tour. So, but she was so good. She kind of always organised the right people to be around or whatever. And it was just great.
What were the crowds like for you in comparison?
It's just they dance so much with their soul.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people were very in touch. Well, from my experience anyway, obviously India's a huge company.
Yeah.
It's massive. And yeah, my experience was that everyone's just very in touch with who they are, probably more so than here. Like drugs aren't so prevalent as they are here.
Yeah.
And people kind of get into the music much more just through themselves.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And people would, especially in places like Goa, you'd hear it's when the drop comes that people lose their shit, right? I swear. Yeah.
Of course you can, yeah.
Whereas in Goa, it was when the bass came out and it went to the like floaty, slightly more pads and stuff. That's when people lost their shit.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So interesting.
That's an amazing
right?
contrast.
Yeah.
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 I remember playing in like breakbeat sets in Spain in the noughties, and they hated breakdowns. You just couldn't, like, you had to kind of just like do like drop, 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 and if it was even like a couple of seconds of anything that wasn't a drop, people started to. It was really high pressure.
No way.
DJing.
Interesting.
People started to leave the dance floor, and you'd just be sweating, just like kind of a breakdown, like da, da, da. It was really stressful. Really stressful DJing. But that sounds really cool. And also it says a lot about them as a people, and in a positive way. Like, yeah, especially the drugs thing too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's everywhere, but it just felt in general that people came out because they wanted to listen to music and have a bit of escapism. And, there'd be someone, there was like a row of people along the back just eating chapatis or whatever and just enjoying the music, chilling.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily out to like get raging.
Yeah, it's cool.
So.
Sounds nice and chill and honest. Yeah. This is a big question. Speaking to your younger self, what advice would you give yourself now, or give your younger self with the power of hindsight?
Well, I very much still feel like a work in progress.
Yeah.
So this would just be a checkpoint, I suppose. I mean, I would give this advice to anyone coming into the industry or starting out, or even just currently wherever they are. Try not to compare yourself too much, because everyone's just in their own lane, doing their own thing. It's really hard not to compare yourself.
Yeah.
But it's a hole that you'll just, and it's still something I have to deal with like a lot. Not have to deal with. Woe is me. But do you know what I mean? Sometimes
no, I know what you mean. Yeah.
You see people that you kind of go, oh no, like,
Social media doesn't help.
yeah, it's
with
social
that.
media, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just like, oh, that's, obviously happy for everyone for succeeding, but sometimes you're like, oh, maybe people that are doing well who don't necessarily, I don't know. This
Because
sounds really bad. I'm thinking about
you'll
Kamal
always
Williams.
compare yourself, even if you took away if you just took away social media completely, I think you'd always compare yourself if anyone else is in view to you. Like if you're listening to someone else's music, you're
Yeah.
comparing your music to theirs, or you're seeing someone on stage, you're comparing yourself to their performance or whatever it might be. But social media makes it impossible to avoid.
Yeah,
think.
and also yeah, exactly that. And it
Yeah.
only shows people's the very best side. So
Yes.
obviously you're always, and this applies to anyone, not just
Mm.
music, but you're always going to look at it and be like, oh, you're doing really well. I feel really not good today, and it's going to spiral you or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So
I think it's
yeah.
really important to be aware whilst you're scrolling of any kind of gut feelings you get when you view someone else's showing off. Like if you're scrolling and you come across, even if they're your mate, but if you come across something that's like makes your heart sink a little bit or your gut sink because like, oh, they're doing really well. And if it makes you feel that way, then you should probably unfollow it for a bit and just have a break and just see, even if they are your friend, whatever, because it's important to acknowledge how anything makes you feel when you're mindlessly, they say, scrolling, because it's not mindless. That's the thing about it.
It's not mindless.
Yeah.
There's dopamine there.
Yeah.
And there's the opposite.
And then there's, and yeah, exactly. And then there's
Yeah.
feelings that it creates in comparison, which is sucks the joy out of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's it. Just don't compare and just stick to your thing.
That's good advice.
Better start following it.
Yeah, me too. All right. Thank you, Josie. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
It's been great talking
Cheers
to
for
you.
the dad joke.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. And
Thanks
cheers.
for having me. Cheers.
Thanks for watching Toast and Jams. If you enjoyed this episode, hit like and subscribe to stay updated. And to hear our guest tune selection, check out the playlist or the link in the description. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, of course, and see you next time. This has been a joint production between Toast and Jams and Allan Brothers Films.